I genuinely didn't know that editing essays could be so difficult. I don't even know if I can do this. I might have to try again later.
That clip was from about a week ago, and the reason I was crying is because I just read a Common App essay about a student from California. This kid woke up at dawn, you guys, to go pick grapes at a vineyard with their dad during summer break. He was getting paid below minimum wage, and he knew it. He was risking his life beside dangerous machinery, and he had so many blisters on his hand he couldn't even hold a pencil in class. The funny thing is, for a split second, I felt kind of proud because I could tell this student had watched a few of my videos and followed my advice. Fantastic narrative structure, powerful descriptions, great problem solution ratio, you know, the whole 9 yards. But on the other hand, I was just so deeply saddened by this student's reality. He was faced with a constant barrage of bills, eviction letters, clearly impoverished. I mean, at one point this kid was so broke that he had to eat mud pies. I mean, literally mixing soil and water together. Can you imagine eating that because you were so hungry? That wasn't even the saddest part though. What really got to me, what really broke me, was this student's beautiful metaphor of how he wanted to become the gardener who pruned the thorns of poverty. He spoke about working beside his father, sharing a meal with him, their relationship, and how he wanted to be that breaker of chains, the one who helps the family escape the cycle of poverty, the pruner of thorns. He wanted to be the one who proved that all those sacrifices his family made, they were worth it. I absolutely bawled when I read the reflections, and it took me hours to recover my senses. But once I did, I knew that I had to help. I had to do something. But then the more I thought about it, the more sad I became. I just started wondering to myself, how many more kids are there like this out there? And how can I possibly help them all? You know, call me an idealist, but I started this channel last year and I've made over 100 videos because I knew I wanted to change lives. I had something to share, something to say, something to teach. And although I've spent thousands of hours on this channel trying to level the playing field, trying to give low-income kids from all around the world the knowledge and tips they need, not just for getting into a great college or university, but also for long-term success. Despite doing all that, I really still feel like there are days when I'm just not doing enough. I still do those bit.ly/botherkevin20 YouTube meetings. I've partnered with other nonprofits, I speak at schools, I tutor kids. But at the end of the day, I'm just one guy. And education and equity is a problem so vast and so endless that sometimes it just feels like a lot of the work that I do is kind of futile. I'm back home now, and these days I really find myself in those quiet hours reflecting on my own journey. I was born and raised right here in Southwest Miami into a middle-class family, but then the 2008 recession hit and found ourselves 100K in debt. Then I was slingshotted to Phillips Exeter Academy, the #1 private school in America, and I literally went from public schools in Miami to Yale. Then when I got to Yale, I really felt like this was it, like I'd made it. But after about a year or two, I kind of realized that nothing has changed. I was still broke and I still didn't know jack about the world. If anything, I felt more ignorant and more poor. I remember during spring break, I used to stay on Yale's campus and it was eerily quiet and I would just work. Meanwhile, kids in my residential college would go to Europe for spring break, would go to Prague, would go to France, and I would see their Instagram stories while I was on shift. Yeah, I mean, I felt poor, but things have changed. That was years ago. I ended up working my butt off. I created a business from my childhood bedroom. I made tens of thousands of dollars tutoring. I grinded. And although my family still has some debt, we're no longer poor. I'm not poor. But there are still moments when I feel kind of confused and guilty about all that. Reading your guys' essays, reading the emails, the YouTube comments, the Instagram DMs, I get them every single day, you guys. And even though I applied to college years ago, I can still feel that deadline looming. I can still feel that pressure, sometimes even that desperation. There are literally times when I'm watching a Pixar movie with my girlfriend, on a Friday night, or when I'm breakdancing on a weekday afternoon, or when I'm trying to read a book and just chill out before going to sleep. And I feel guilty for not doing more for you guys. I feel guilty for indulging. For years, my desire to be not poor made me selfish. I focused on me, myself. Take care of yourself before helping others, you know, the whole airplane oxygen mask sort of thing. But I find that today, that's no longer an acceptable excuse. You've made it, Kev. You should be pouring everything you've got into helping these kids, into lifting them up. There's this voice at the back of my head talking. That international student who reached out to you, he has nowhere to turn. Can't you give him a little bit extra time? You have so much experience and they don't. He's lost, she's lost. Your help could really be the difference maker for them. And besides, is this really what you're gonna do with your privilege? How can you Netflix and chill when that kid in California or India is up until 2, 3, 4 a.m. editing, revising their essays, doing everything they possibly can to sharpen their application, to change their future? Don't you remember what that was like? Don't you remember how that felt? Can't you give them something more? Oh man, that's what I ask myself sometimes. That's what I hear. Over the past few months, I've already read dozens of Common App essays. There's a girl from India who's reapplying to American schools again because last year she got into a few, but they didn't give her enough aid. Her personal statement actually begins with the internet getting cut off because she's run out of time and money at the internet cafe. She writes about meeting the world online through Zoom classes with students from Syria, Ethiopia, America. There's another boy from Connecticut who played the violin at a wedding for a terminally ill patient, then launched a music channel for the patients at his local hospital. He's a literal saint. Another girl from the Philippines visited an orphanage, then promised to come back. But she was never able to return. She was never able to fulfill her promise. And so her essay is about personal agency and trying to implement more systemic policy solutions in order to change all levels of society, starting from the poorest rungs of Filipino youth. As I read these essays, I'm filled with a mix of emotions. Honestly, they're the best I've read in the past 5 years. Reading them, I feel inspired, I feel sad, I feel proud of what they've overcome and sorry for what they've had to go through. I really want to do more and help more. And yet, at the same time, I know that if I want to be able to continue doing this sustainably, sometimes that will require me to take a step back and recover. I guess this whole video is essentially me explaining to you guys how even though I so desperately want to meet with every single one of you and edit every single Common App essay, I just simply can't. There are a lot of virtual little siblings like yourself out there, and there's only one of me. But still, I will try to do my best. I'll continue to make videos you guys find are helpful, and I'll do my very best to remain available, whether that's through the 20-minute bit.ly/botherkevin meetings or through Saturday afternoon live streams, which yes, I really need to bring those back. Anyways, one thing is for certain, and that is that your success is my success. I'm constantly rooting for you guys, all right? I can't wait to see what you guys do and who you become. Until next time, take it easy. Peace.